You know how you look around college football these days more and more, and you see headlines that if you had read to yourself 5 years ago, you would have laughed, i.e., Joey Aguilar is seeking via legal avenues an ability, some kind of way to play, Jesse, an 8th season of college football. Now, as we are learning more and more, junior college doesn't count. It's not real college. So we should just ignore those years, and we should just only acknowledge the years that you've played, quote unquote, real football. Apparently, the credits still count from junior college. It's just what you do on the field that shouldn't count. A lot of this is tongue-in-cheek. A lot of this is sarcastic. Of course, it's insane for anyone to still be playing college football at 25 years old. Now, what I'm not doing is I'm not hating on Joey Aguilar. I'm not even hating on Tennessee. Because you live in a landscape right now where there are no rules. And so we do sometimes wish in an idealistic method that everyone would sort of adhere to the same unwritten laws of governance so that we didn't have to deal with this thing. But this is much more like Shawshank. This is not a fairy tale world. This is the real world. And in prison and college football, as Meemaw used to say, you do whatever you have to do to survive. And that's what Tennessee's trying to do right now. That's what Joey Aguilar's trying to do right now, in case you've missed the headlines. Yep. That kid who transferred out of UCLA to Tennessee last spring, sort of saved Tennessee's season after Nico threw up the deuces. He is seeking an 8th year of eligibility. He'll be 25 if he's not already 25 this year. So, yeah, that's where we are. Anyway, that would have sounded insane 5 years ago, but that's where we are. You see a lot of that, man. The Trinidad Chambliss stuff. NCAA said, no, that doesn't really mean much. They're just going to go find a courtroom that leans their way, and they're going to try and get another year of eligibility for Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss. Again, ditto to what I just said about Tennessee. I'm not even blaming anyone. It's an overarching problem. It's a much, much bigger picture issue than, Tennessee should be ashamed of themselves. There is no shame right now. So what you do find yourself asking, if you feel the way I feel, is where does this end? Or more specifically, who's going to step in and do something about this? Is the commissioner going to step in? Well, we don't have one yet. Is a university president going to step in? Apparently not. Is the football oversight committee going to step in? No, half the folks on that thing shouldn't be on it. More on that probably later this spring. Who's the face of college football? Who's the face of leadership in college football? Are commissioners going to step in? Well, if a commissioner steps in right now, how do they know that all the other commissioners are going to go along with it? Or how do they know that the commissioner from another conference isn't going to look and say, suckers, and then just fully take advantage of the rules they voluntarily chose to follow? You get my drift. So who can help? Well, I've been thinking about it, and I've been thinking about it more, and then some more, and some more, and some more. You know, I have brought up a point on the show many times about the NFL. I brought up the point when it comes to things like scheduling, when it comes to the college football playoff calendar. A lot of the issue with the playoff calendar, a lot of the issue with us not being able to get what we want, which is a championship game wrapping up on or around New Year's Day, being able to play the playoffs pretty consistently on Saturdays, first off. Secondly, throughout December, is that the NFL's in the way. And we can't, well, I say we, the rights holders who hold the rights to the playoffs, right now ESPN, does not want to go head-to-head with the NFL. It's not even unsound business logic. So again, I'm not hating on it. I hate that it exists. I hate that the problem does exist. And so I've said for a long time, man, the NFL massively benefits from college football. The NFL massively benefits because the developmental piece is such that they don't have to have a minor league. College football does it for them. The players arrive to the NFL, by and large, they're ready to play. I'm not saying they're fully developed, but they're 4/5 of the way there to 90% of the way there. And also from a marketability and recognizability standpoint, your names are established because those players did that in the 3 or 4 years they were in Columbus, Ohio, or Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or Los Angeles, California, Eugene, Oregon. So you don't have to do any of the marketing legwork. You don't have to do any of the developmental legwork. College football does it for you. I have long maintained that because the NFL doesn't have to invest a dime in those two avenues, at the very least, could they not, in some kind of reciprocal duty, self-realized reciprocal duty, do college football a solid and work with them on the calendar front? I've long said that. Now, again, To go back to the idealistic world, the NFL does that just because they feel it's their duty to do it. Their heart leaps out of their chest, and they call up college football and they say, guys, we're here to help. We're not the federal government here to help. We're the NFL, and we're here to help. That would be a perfect world. Thus far, that hasn't happened. But you know what I always thought, and stupid me to think this, I always thought that it had already been tried. I always thought that college football had tried, and the NFL was saying no. It turns out maybe I should not have assumed. So take the calendar problem, put it to the side. That has nothing to do with Joey Aguilar, right? That has nothing to do with eligibility. That has nothing to do with kids playing college football till they're 30 years old. So how do they connect? Well, here's where they connect. So if the NFL's not going to involve themselves in college football for altruistic reasons, maybe one day they'll get involved for different reasons. So I want to take you back to Monday. Roger Goodell, at the beginning of Super Bowl week every week, he has sort of a State of the Union type press conference, and there are a bunch of questions. Some of them are off the wall. Some of them are very topical and timely, but very rarely is Roger Goodell asked about college football. But last Monday, the fine folks at Front Office Sports asked Roger Goodell about college football, and I'm going to give you the answer in just a second. But to tee up what you're hearing from Roger Goodell, the question is basically, hey, college football is a mess right now. The eligibility model is in shambles. No one knows when you're out of eligibility. There is a lot of churn in college football. It's just a mess right now. Could that ever hurt the NFL? And would you guys be willing to help? Pretty basic, right? Here is what Roger Goodell had to say.
We have a great relationship with college football. We cooperate on a number of matters, including something I think is really important, which is our eligibility rules. I think our eligibility rules benefit the young men that come into the league because they stay in college football longer. But I also think there's obviously a lot of change going on and a lot of disruption, and they do need to bring some clarity to that. And I think that's something that if for some reason we can be helpful with the right people, we would obviously be willing to engage with anybody. But I think we try to stay in our lane unless we're invited in to be part of the solution.
If I could translate for Roger Goodell, yeah, we'll help. They got to ask for it. Quick 5-second timeout. Check and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It keeps it free. We love you. All right, back to the show. So again, it kind of makes you feel ignorant here because you just assume college football's asked for the help. But you know what? A collective organization that has failed to so much as take a leak without getting the front of its pants wet should not shock me when they have not reached out via the proper channels for help on things like eligibility. Now you may say to yourself, Josh, well, what specifically would the NFL do? Hey, what would it hurt to ask the NFL to do? That's the question. The NFL has long understood this landscape. Now, I don't necessarily mean the landscape of apples to apples college football. They have a draft. You don't have one of those in college football. They have a collective bargaining agreement. To this point, you don't have one of those in college football. I'm not suggesting these two sports are apples to apples, but I will tell you this. For the first time, college football has a problem that really could have a tangible negative effect on the NFL. And it's not the calendar. As much as I wish the NFL would volunteer to help out college football with the calendar and the playoff broadcast windows, it's not that. It's eligibility. Because we're not very far right now from a world where a guy declares for the draft, takes part in the draft process, hopes to be drafted, maybe late, but hopes to be drafted, goes undrafted, and instead of signing a free agent deal with the Buffalo Bills or Green Bay Packers or Jaguars, and those are all on the table, he just says, I'm going to accept a low seven-figure offer to go back and play another year for South Carolina. And you pause for a second when you think about that because it's insane. It's absurd. Also, your mind keeps telling you, well, you can't do that. You can't declare for the draft and hire an agent and then go through the process and come back to college. Hey, no, you haven't been able to do that. Who's tried? Who tried to do it? How do you know it would fail? How do you know you couldn't find a friendly judge there in South Carolina or somewhere in Texas or somewhere in Illinois that would grant you the ability, or they, at very least, they just grant the temporary injunction temporary restraining order, the old TRO. Those aren't just letters in the back of a Toyota anymore. No, the TRO just stays in place long enough for you to play, and then by the time it finally makes it into a courtroom, you just drop it because, you already played your year anyway. We're not far away from that. And the way I know that is it's happening in college basketball in a roundabout way as we speak. You think that couldn't happen in college football, you're crazy. And the last thing the NFL wants is their talent pool tampered with. We got tampering all over the place in college football, but it hasn't touched the NFL yet. The NFL has not seen their free agent pool dry up because the guys tested the draft waters, didn't like what they got, and they go back to college. Hey, what if a guy goes out for the draft? And what if he was drafted, Jesse? Have we ever walked this through? What if he was drafted mid-6th round and he knows the offer on the table to play another year at Miami would be much greater than the guaranteed money that he stood to get in the NFL? Like, have you ever thought these scenarios through? You just think you know how it would play out, but especially the undrafted free agent pool could very much be tampered with. I want you to think about a guy 3 years in. He's played a couple of years. He's played 10 or 11 games on NFL rosters, and he's kind of a fringe guy. And a lot of the time when someone goes on the IR, he's the kind of guy that you're picking up off the free agent wire. What if that guy just 3 years into his pro career decides, man, I'm going to go play college football this year? What's stopping it? The rules? Well, you don't have them right now. What's stopping it? So I almost wonder if this isn't the avenue, if this isn't the on-ramp for the NFL to get involved in college football. The NFL can help in matters of eligibility. The NFL can absolutely help while they're at it in teaching college football how to pool their media rights. Because, there is a school of thought that I happen to subscribe to that the media rights of college football, if collectively pooled, are worth 3 or 4 times as much what they're worth individually right now. It's just college football hasn't figured out that for all the money-hungry approaches in this sport, that'd be the one that quenched the thirst the most. College football hasn't figured that out. The NFL figured it out a long time ago. And if you pooled those media rights and everyone else got richer, might I suggest that your new media rights deal, in the spirit and in the process of massively propping up lesser conferences that are going bankrupt right now, could garner you a lot more favorable view from Congress? The NFL, again, has figured this out and mastered this approach long ago. College football just trying to keep up.